And recording. Alright, hello internet. As you can see today, I worked in the clouds. I expect for the rest of Christchurch it looked like a really low overcast day. I'm up in it because I live on a hill. I suppose it technically qualifies as a mountain. Oh look at that. There's the thing that we built today. So unfortunately my drill that I borrowed off my good buddy Rob was supplied with 3 batteries. I assumed the other 2 that weren't loaded in it were charged. They were not. So battery just started running low. I was like, oh sweet, I'll switch over to the second battery. And oop. So I've got batteries on charge at the moment. I'm going to have to wait for 20 minutes or so at least to get enough charge left to drive the rest of the bolts that hold things in. But you know, we've got heaps of stuff done. So as you can see, we've panelled off our end frame there. Well, assemble it and panelled it off, and then we've got the long struts there that hold the 2 end frames apart. Up and under there there's another what do they call it, a ridge pole, it's made out of this 50x50 or 2x2 stuff. So basic stuff here. I haven't really ever worked with corrugated material before, plastic or otherwise, but my buddy Rob reminded me last night that don't be a dumbass and make sure you drive your bolts in the top of the corrugation, not in the bottom, not in the wells, in the ridges, not the wells. So everywhere you can see bolts, it's all on the ridges, not the wells, except for underneath all of this waterproofing material here. If you were able to feel it, there's bolts, but that's still waterproofy stuff. She's then got this flashing. I wish this flashing was bigger, but it was what I got, so that's what I had available. You got to work with what you got when you're working with recycled materials sometimes. I may eventually replace this, but I've got 2 layers of this stuff overlapped at the top on the main ridge there and shit, and they cover all of the bolts because I only had a few of the little tech screw type bolts that I'm using to do this. Again, working with what I've got. I had to sort of ration out the longer ones that can drive through the ridges and into the frame for, you know, connected areas and middle of the panel and stuff like that. I mean, it's not too bad. It should hold together pretty well. I've got just enough left to do along the bottom. And I had much shorter ones about this long that only drive into the wells, not the ridges. What I did with them was, apart from driving them at the top to pin all the sheets in before I put all the waterproofing material and the ridge cap on, down here there's quite a few of them used in the middle of the sheet, just below the line of the floor. So the reason you don't drive into wells with bolts is because they might leak, and that's obviously a bad thing. In this case, even if they did leak, they're driven in such a place in a way that they're below the line of the floor, so the leak would basically just drop straight out the bottom of the house, out of the bottom of the corrugate, and it's below anything that's like going to leak into the house or anything like that. So down there I can afford to use the short ones, so I'm going to do that along the bottom as well. So this side's completely bolted on, apart from securing the ridge cap material to the ridge of the roof here. And obviously got to secure it on the side as well. We've got a bunch of bolts to do along there, and yeah, that's basically it. I've got to secure the bottom and secure the top. But at the moment, if I had to stop immediately because it was too dark or whatever, which will be soon, then yeah, this is waterproof enough for the night anyway. It's not quite complete, but close enough. What I'm going to do, obviously we don't have a door in here. Oh no door. So we can get it on the inside. Hurrah! So that's what we'll look at the moment. As I've mentioned earlier, we are using clear plastic sheet because it's real cheap. But I'm going to paint a lot of this. We're not going to live in a glass house. But as you can see, for wherever I do want to leave the sheets clear to let light in, it's really, really effective. So I'm just sitting on the inside yet. I haven't actually tried doing this yet. You're trying the inside out for the first time with me. Hooray. So as I mentioned the other day, I've got a bush right here, so right there's the front of the house. So the door hatch theoretically was going to hatch here and open up into into that basically. So we may have a small problem. So I may be able to just go with what I was going to do and just trim this bush back a bit to allow that to occur, or I could change the style of door. I mean, it's a great thing. I'm making this up as I go along. So tomorrow when I start working on the door, and I'll probably also start working on solar panel and electronics installation, because that has to happen before we do insulation. yeah, I might make a side opening door that way that opens into the bush, like off of the angle of the thing, so it's kind of like it'll automatically close because it's kind of hanging on an angle like that, and just open up that way, or do it from this side so it opens out over that way. I don't know. I'll make some shit up. It'll be fun. Right, I'm going to turn this around camera-wise so that you can sort of have a look at what the internal space is like, because obviously, as I showed the other day, these are very, very tiny A-frames. So there you go. They look tiny, but once you sit on the inside, I've got, I'd say, I don't know, what does that look like? About 8 inches or so of clearance to the paneling, and to the beam here, probably at 7 inches at least. Yeah. Why am I doing inches all the time? It's fucking weird. My granddad was an old school dude, so when he taught me to build, he taught me everything in 4x2 and 7 inches this and 8 inches that. I guess that's why. About 15 centimeters, 15 to 20 centimeters I got clearance sort of wise here. And this is when I'm sitting straight down on the floor, so I'd be a little higher if I was on a cushion. So these ridge lines are, those bits are basically about the same height as my head most of the time. What's really cool that I couldn't do in my old place is I can go up to, okay, that's standing with my shoulders all, if I go sideways like this, I can actually basically pretty much stand up on the inside, almost. Once I get the insulation in and stuff, I'll only be able to do that in the clear plastic areas, but still, it's a hell of a lot taller on the inside than the old one. So what we're going to do in here, this is basically the orientation I'll use. So you get in that way, you leave your boots where you are. I'll have storage down here, 2 tubs sitting there, and the shelf that crosses between these bits probably comes out to about here. Hopefully I'm filming all this pretty good. And that will basically mean when I sit down, pillows and everything go behind me, and you lie down to sleep over here. Buy all the storage stuff, which I can also lean up against and stuff. I can, under the underside of the shelf, I can put a reading light. I might even have a little flop down thing that holds my tablet, although I was pointing out to my bro before that I could actually, basically, if I'm sitting sideways over there, which again we haven't tried yet, this is how I normally sit when I'm working. I go a little bit further forward, there we go. So I put a cushion behind me and stuff, and the phone that I'm filming with is now bang on the panel, so I could create mounts underneath these ridge lines to hold phones for filming, but also for watching telly. I put my tablet up here and shit like that. So yeah, making sure we're still filming. So yeah, feeling pretty good. Bit rushed today. I was really worried about the weather, but now I've got everything sealed and I can just slow right down and just sort of start thinking a little bit as we go. The one sort of failure bit we've got is the unit worked out a lot taller than I expected. I realised, wow, it's quite echoey in there, isn't it, without insulation? I realised that, I'm going to spin back around, there we go. I realised that down here, underneath, I don't know why, I think it was just because I was a bit worried about being close to the ground, or I just wasn't really thinking or whatever, but I've gone 2 bricks high with all of my foundation bricks at that end and at that end. So that's brought me up by, I think this solid brick, so by about that much, just 2-3 inches, or about 75 mil. So now when I stand at ground level, that ridge cap is basically bang on my height. So we're about 200 millimeters, so maybe even 250 higher than I expected to be, which is a bit of a concern. If it turns into a major thing, like the people I live with who's popularly amusing, or anyone else complains or whatever, we could jack up. This thing will be quite fucking heavy now. I haven't actually tried lifting it. Let's try doing that one-handed while filming, because that's smart. Who wants to bet that I'm going to scream "owl me back" in a minute? Alrighty, it's fine to centre it, but oh no, I can still lift it up. That's okay. So yeah, we can lift it up, jack it up or whatever, and pull bricks out one by one. Getting the ones out of the corner here by the thing would be quite hard, but I could take it down by the height of a brick, which visually on something this small is actually quite a bit. So obviously once we're done, we're going to run all this scoria gravel shit straight back into the bottom there, and that'll just run straight in under the house, so it's kind of like a sort of an infinity effect kind of thing. House just runs straight back into terrace here. Eventually I'm thinking I'll put some decks along the outside. I think we might dispense with Mr. Rosebush here because it's just kind of in the way. Then again, nah, why kill plants? It's mean. Be nice having a little rose bush growing straight outside my window, because at least one place I'm definitely going to have floor to ceiling straight out window this is right through there, just past the main entrance way. I'm going to definitely do it there. Yeah. Anyway, well, I might break it with the beam, because I don't know, that's the other thing. I mean, I've got these beams in place now that haven't been painted. Probably should have thought of that. So I can either paint across the front, so we've got like a nice neat thing, and paint the inside of the beam and things like that, or I don't know, we'll work it out as we go along. Like everything else, I'm gonna make shit up. So yeah, feeling pretty happy. That's pretty good. This worked out, Jesus, visually quite a bit larger than I expected it to. I hope that people don't mind too much, but obviously being an A-frame, if we back up over here on the terrace, you can see how like I'm going to be able to grow the plants right up to either end and around the top of the ridgeline and shit, and just it sort of leans back into the bush there, or the bushes, and that should sort of help bring its sort of overall size effect down and whatnot. But anyway, yeah, I'm pretty happy with what we've done so far today. I'm going to see if my batteries are charged yet so I can get back to work, and you all have a good one. Assuming the weather holds, which it doesn't look like it will, because I can't even see the hills opposite me that are a few hundred meters away now. The cloud is really dense. If you look over there, I think you might be able to just see the other side of Littleton over there through past those houses. So yeah, I think it's going to rain tonight for sure. I don't know what the weather's doing tomorrow, but the thing's weatherproof now, so I can just kind of work on it when I feel like it. But anyway, I got to charge some stuff up, and I promised my mate I'd get his drill back to him with his power drivers and everything today. So I've got to get that ridge cap anchored, and all the carbonate, the PVC stuff all anchored at the bottom, and all sorted out, make sure there's no more tech screws that I need to drive. And then I'll wander down and go to my mate's bar and drop off his tools. It's bloody annoying at the moment. I'm not drinking or smoking, and this is just one of those points where I'd like have a cigarette and be about time for a beer, but I've been having some issues with my alcohol intake, to say the very least, of late, because I'm a bit of an alcoholic. Correction, I am an alcoholic. So yeah, I've been off the booze for about 2 weeks now, I think. What day is it? Monday. So yeah, nearly 2 weeks, or over 2 weeks. So yeah, or is it 1 week? I don't know, I'm not really counting. I'm just basically staying off the booze until I've got this thing finished, and then possibly for a longer period of time. I'm a binge drinking alcoholic, so basically once I start I don't stop, but I don't seem to have a problem not drinking at all. It's just if I am drinking, I tend to do it to excess, to say the very least. I'm a pirate, or an alcoholic, as is the correct thing. I'm just still uncomfortable with that term, but I've got to use the correct one, so there it is. Anyway, I would really like a fucking beer, and I'm not going to have one, so that's weird. I'd better find something else to do. And I haven't smoked since the start of this year, like cigarettes. I've been on the vapes, and I'm finally finishing up my last pot at the moment. I'm supposed to be basically quit vapes as well and off nicotine completely, so bit of a struggle. Anyway, I should probably not talk about it heaps and focus on it and try and find something else to do. You'll have a good one. Hopefully we'll be back tomorrow with another video.